look at the time. The time is now 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock is the time. And you guys already know what it is. Welcome to Plugged In with R. Muhammad, Robert Muhammad. That be me, your host and friends. Now, you guys know this is the second season of ours, and this is the 4th episode. And I am so excited about my next guest. I have been really excited ever since he said yes. So I think that I need to formally bring him on and introduce you guys to all of the listeners out there to who is coming on. Now, I want you to imagine with me, you having a civil rights leader and activist in your family. And imagine you're the child of that civil rights leader. Now, the pressure of not only living up to that legacy, but carrying it on the torchlight. My next guest, ladies and gentlemen, is not just only doing that, but he is also the son of that civil rights leader and activist. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my friend and your friend, and also, I'm going to drop this in here too, my first cousin. You know, yes, we are the sons of two sisters. Mr. Albert Turner Jr., the county commissioner, and he has multiple hats, and we're going to get off into that too. The county commissioner of Perry County, which is the city of Marion, Alabama. What's going on, Albert?
Everything is going well, Dr. Muhammad.
Yeah. Oh man, I appreciate that, bro. You know, I strive to heal my people daily, you know, by giving them the right things and the tools. But you know, because you and I have known each other, we are older than I, but my whole entire life, our whole entire lives. And I was even fascinated at reading some of the history of your father and my uncle. And it hit me because that I couldn't imagine. I would have thought that would have, when I was thinking about it, I was thinking that, man, that's a lot of pressure because I didn't know Uncle Albert was that big. I mean, I didn't know he's right up there with the Stokely Carmichaels and all of the Martin Luther Kings and all of these other great activists, Rosa Parks, and there's a whole host of people out there. But Uncle Albert was at the front of the line on the march on the Petmus Bridge. I did not know that. So, and to learn these things, I immediately thought, I said, wow, that had to have been a lot of pressure for you and your brothers and sisters to grow up under that type of legacy. You know, was it a pressurized situation growing up?
Well, it was. Your expectations were to do what you're supposed to do.
Okay.
He made sure of that as your father, as well.
As your uncle too.
What right. You were supposed to do, but right. You had a general understanding of what was expected of you, and you took that understanding, and it didn't seem as big of an issue because you grew up in it. That's what you saw every day. That's what you lived. So it wasn't as much pressure as you may have seen it, but it was the expectations that my father and my family had for us as children that we had to meet those expectations. So
right.
It didn't seem as big as, it may have been because we were used to it and we were accustomed to it.
Right. Well, was it a sort of like a way that a path was already pre-cut for you and your brothers and sisters? That, I mean, not to say to go to that much, because I think by that time the actual civil rights movement had kind of I don't know what the right word would that be. It wasn't as mainstream by the time that we were coming along. We still had our struggles and our issues, but was it like a straight path to sort of go off into that arena?
Still had, in the height of his involvement in SCLC, we were all small children, and only my older brother was in school and had to deal with desegregating schools.
Right.
Uh, Me being the youngest of four children, uh, a lot of the initial desegregation had already occurred.
Right.
So uh, the, ex- the expectation of succeeding was there. The expectation of being, you know, conforming to the whims of that day were there. But the actual having to integrate public schools and all that, my older brother, he was involved in that.
Right.
Uh, when I came along later, it was coming to norm, but you still had what they call legal segregation.
Right. Okay. Right. Right. So, and also, I was reading it in your father's bio was that he was the inventor and or the creator of Gasol Hall.
No, that's
And
correct. And
now,
indeed,
for those who don't know what Gasol Hall is, can you just elaborate a little bit on what it was
Gasol
that he created and how is it still being used today?
Gasol is a fuel additive that is mixed with every gallon of gasoline today. They call it now Tectron in some cars. Chevron calls it Tectron. Shell calls it something else. Texaco calls it something else. But it's an additive to gas that makes your gas go longer, give you more gas mileage. It was derived from corn. It was discovered in Selma, Alabama. He was given the first license in the United States to produce alcohol, and we did that at the Southwest Alabama Farmers Co-op, uh,
Wow.
a cooperative of small farmers in the Black Belt of Alabama that came together, bought their crops together. He sold those crops on behalf of those small farmers.
Okay.
And he then got those small farmers to start producing corn. And from corn, he did gasohol from corn. And then we were able to go to Washington and move forward with the gasohol. But it's still used today in every gallon of gas that you purchased, that additive is in your gasoline.
Right. Now, I have, I didn't finish college, but out of 12 years of uh, schooling and another year and a half of college, I have never read that in any history book, or especially during Black History Month. Um, was there a Was that deliberately did that way, or was that something that you think that we should just encourage our own people to go and find out for themselves? Because I've heard about the guy who did the refrigerator. I heard about the guy that did or invented or created the dryer and all of this other stuff, the traffic signal. But that is a major move right there
It's
to
a
come up
major
with.
move, and it's not on the mainstream because you think gas come from fossil fuel, and you think that uh,
Right,
you strike oil and then you turn oil into gasoline,
right,
um, and you think of it that way. You don't think of the end product of gasoline and
right,
the effect that it has. Uh, but that's something that's readily available in some books. When you go to Washington D.C. to the National African American Museum, you see it there.
right.
Uh, you see my father there in two aspects. There's one as in Gaffer Hall, and the other as the leader of the Selma to Montgomery March.
Okay. Okay. And I will make sure that everybody, when you view the live stream, or not the live stream, but when you view the stream on either YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, and all the social media platforms. We'll make sure that you have the links in those. That is something that I encourage, especially in my urban American culture, my people. Uh, Give that extra little bit of education to your children too, because that's another one of ours that has did something major. Now, as much as I would love, I really want to talk. Uh, I'll talk with you more offline about Uncle Albert, because that was just amazing just to learn that history, and I didn't know that. But you have also had a lucrative career yourself in carving out uh, 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 your piece of uh, this life under your own name. Would you go a little bit into where you were educated and all of that stuff, especially coming out of Marion? Can you tell just a little bit about, give them the idea of the city that we come from and how going out of that city, the struggles or the strives of going out of that town. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because there's a lot of people out there that may feel that they are held back because of where they're from, or the situation or the environment or the culture or the society part that they're in. So just go a little bit into where you're from and where it went from after high school and to leading up to your current positions right now.
Well, Marion has always produced great individuals. When you think about Marion and you think about some of the great people that you read about in history books, Martin Luther King's wife, Coretta Scott King, uh, is born and was reared and went to school in Marion, Alabama. Uh,
Really?
she still had her family still owned property here. She got married to Martin Luther King here in Marion. Marriage license in our courthouse today. Uh,
Oh,
uh, Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King. Andrew Young, the first African American ambassador to the UN, his wife is from Marion, Alabama, grew up in Marion, Alabama. Uh, her family has deep roots in Marion and Perry County, Lincoln School. Marion has produced some great individuals um, who have made major contributions to this country. And small town, and we are a small county. We are 10,000 people in the whole county altogether. City of Marion has about 3,500 people. We are the home of two colleges. We have Marion Institute here, and they just closed Judson College, which was all female college, as they get ready to reorganize it. But we have two college campuses here. Uh, the only military junior college in the country is here in Marion, where you can leave college and be a second lieutenant and get a good chance to get into one of the naval institutions,
right.
Navy Air Force. Marion is also the home of, or Perry County is the home of 19 Alabama high school state championship teams.
Wow.
We're the only school in the state of Alabama to have won 4 consecutive high school basketball championships. There's just a lot of great things that has occurred in Marion over its history. This is the birthplace of Jimmy Lee Jackson, who was the first martyr of the modern voting rights movement, killed right here in Marion, Alabama, by an Alabama state trooper in a mass meeting called by my. Um, it led to the Selma to Montgomery March.
Right.
People of Marion were there on the Edmunds Pettus Bridge when they were attacked by state troopers back in 1965, leading up to voting rights. Marion is the only city in Perry County, the only county in the United States that have a a certified holiday honoring former President Barack Obama. Uh, that is the kind of leadership, that's the kind of history that is embedded in Perry County, Alabama.
Okay. Okay. So when you come out of that, you went to your first college was
Well,
uh,
I went to Miles College in Birmingham, Alabama. I matriculated at Miles College, earning a BS degree in political science
okay.
with a minor in public administration. Left there, went to Thurgood Marshall School of Law, obtained my Juris Doctorate degree there, came back to Alabama and began working in the Lieutenant Governor's office. Worked in the Lieutenant Governor's office, worked in the Governor's office, started my own lobbying and consulting firm from there. Then led the state of Alabama Department of Economic and Community Affairs, which handles all the federal money that comes into the state of Alabama. I served as director of that. Then I was appointed to the Perry County Commission after my father's death in 2000, and I've remained there until today. And I am now the chairman of the Perry County Commission.
Okay. And that says something because I also read that you successfully won that seat unopposed.
Now, I've never been unopposed, but I've never been in a runoff.
Oh, never. That's what it was. Never been in a runoff. So they was just hands down. I mean, it was just automatic. So again, it goes back.
Politics is automatic.
Yeah.
We've been blessed by the good Lord to have been able to run 4 times and have come out victorious. Our last election was in 2000 in 2020.
Right.
And, we won that one election, and we won one 6 years prior to that, and 6 years prior to that. So in total, we've been on the commission 21 years.
Right.
And, of those 21 years, we've run we're in our 4th term of office right now.
Okay. And that's hats off right there to run that many times and that many years in the political office. How hard is it to stay? Because what we see now in politics is a lot of people who, to me, I'm going to put this on me, to me is questionable morality, or either just they don't have common sense. How important is that to remain true to your core values and to your morality, and to stay in this particular political arena that we see today, and not just pull your hair out? I mean, because some stuff that we see is just, I know when I watch, because I watch all news platforms, and sometimes I just be like, really? I mean, are y'all really asking that question for real? I mean, how important is that is just to stay to your true core values?
It's easy.
Not lose yourself.
It's easy because of your upbringing, and it's easy because it's what you know is right to do.
Right.
Most people want to categorize African American politicians as thieves and robbers of the night. That's one thing I rail against. I don't have to cut deals like some politicians have done in the past, but far and large, most African American politicians are honest. Most African American politicians are not on the take, but ones that are on the take and that are not honest, they get the headlines, and that's what you see. That's what the media want to believe, is that every African American politician is there because he's stealing, and he don't want to leave because
it's a cash cow, right?
but you can't get into politics to get rich.
Right.
Not made for us to get rich. Some other races may uh, get rich from being in public office because they are able to do some things to enrich themselves and don't have to worry about being caught.
Right.
Uh, in this arena, you have to always know in your mind that you're being watched, that you have to live above the fray. You have opportunities where people try to pull you under the fray, but you have to have that conviction of yourself to say, no, I'm not going that way. And you don't, you can go to bed at night and sleep. I don't
Right.
have to worry about nobody coming knocking on my door about, taking a kickback from a contract or from a bribe to vote this way or bribe to vote that way. I don't have to worry about it.
Right.
That's somebody else to worry about it.
But doesn't that almost like put a target on your back if you don't play along with the good old boys? That kind of puts you in the unfavorable box, doesn't it? And I'm just outside looking in because I'm really not a political fan. But
You're not a target is not put on your back because you let people know up front
okay, gotcha.
where you are. People do things with other people that they know, that will partake in what they're doing. If you cook it and somebody offers you something, you're gonna take it. And if somebody comes in my office incorrectly, the first thing I do is call the sheriff.
Really?
I call the sheriff because
Right.
you got to make that team, so that conspiracy won't even be a part of it. But it's not hard. It's not hard to do right. It's much harder to do wrong and try to make yourself seem
Look
right.
right. Right.
Uh, but when you're doing right and you're doing it for the right reasons, uh, it's not hard. Even when you have detractors
Right.
uh, in your life, in politics you're gonna have detractors. You can't satisfy everyone.
Right.
Everybody's not gonna like you, and you can't live on likes, but you have to live on the level of respect.
Right.
I have to respect you and your position that you hold to be able to effectuate the kind of change that you want to see during your tenure of office.
Right. I think it takes a special person to actually to have a love for people that's not your family. I mean, outside of your family. Because if you're a politician, to me, you're in that particular position because you're a servant. But that has to be a tiring job to serve. Even in Marion, I mean, you got 3,500 people that you're trying to serve the betterment for all of those, or the 10,000 people in the county. I mean, that has to be an overwhelming task at times.
Well, when it becomes overwhelming is when people don't want to help themselves.
Mm,
You provide help for them, you provide a way for them, and then they don't want it, and then you are in a situation of trying to push and force goodwill on people that don't want it.
right,
For instance, right now we're dealing with this pandemic and trying to get shots in arms.
right,
People, they're getting all this misinformation about shot and what it's going to do to them and all of this, but they're not looking at the truth. And the truth is that it will help save your life. It'll keep you from dying from coronavirus. You may die
right.
from something else, but you're not going to die from coronavirus if you have that vaccination.
Now I may be one of those people there, Albert, because I
But
did my own self study, and I looked at the coronavirus last year, well, up until date, has taken 628,000 lives in a year. So I cross-referenced that with the most notorious virus that in our time frame, AIDS. And AIDS from 1981 to 2020, as a Times article had put out, has only claimed 1.2 million lives. That
Well, you look at AIDS. You look at the AIDS epidemic. You didn't have to force people to take the shot or the medicine for AIDS. We are right now. Today we were meeting with nonprofit organizations to get ready to offer cash for individuals to save your own life. How crazy can that be that I got to pay you to save your life and to save your children's life? But you know, and in the world of politics, and you gotta help people. You gotta make some provisions for them to understand that this is serious. This is nothing to play with, and you're trying to save them. You know, I can imagine, as I said on my radio show Sunday, I can imagine Noah going around telling people that it was going to rain, and that
good comparison.
You know, it was just tough for 150 people going around telling people it's going to rain 40 days and 40 nights, and you're not going to be on Earth.
Right.
That's the same thing we're telling people now. If you don't take this vaccination, sooner or later, this Delta virus is going to attack your body, and if you're not vaccinated, you're going to have a very, very difficult sickness, if not ending in death. And the same thing for your child that's 12 years of age and older. How can you go to the funeral, cry over your child, and you sign the paper to let your child receive this vaccination that could have saved his life?
Do you think the narrative should be changed then? Instead of asking and pleading and begging with people to get this shot. Now, even though I believe the way that I believe, or I think the way that I think, I don't push my belief or my thoughts onto anybody else. So, I guess in other words is, if you feel the need to do that, because your children already get vaccinated anyway. That's the first thing that they do when your child is born. That nurse is not only taking your child over there to smack them on the butt, they finna shoot that vaccine shot into them. But my thing is, should the narrative be changed? And instead of asking and pleading and begging people, just tell people, hey, look, you're over the age of accountability. You can understand right from wrong. We've been living long enough to know do's and don'ts. Just die and get out of the way. Do you think that might scare people into because it's funny, because that's how the mind of some people is. Some people's mind will start turning when they feel that nobody else cares. So
but I don't think in government that you can tell the people.
Well, that's what with the elephant.
I don't care about you. Just go. If you get the shot, fine. If you don't get the shot, fine. A public official can't not care even when the public don't care. You have to care, and it bothers me that people are not moving. In Perry County, we only at 38% of full vaccination. That bothers me. We got school opening in a week, and we got less than 10% of the children that's going to school that's going to be vaccinated. And then they're going to be crying and fussing at the school system, saying, why did my child get sick? Your school nasty. They should have cleaned up. That's not the situation. You can't cry
Right.
about school and your child getting coronavirus when you could have taken your child to get the vaccination, and that probably would not have occurred.
Right.
So, yeah, they having some breaches. Uh, I lived across the street from a lady during the polio era who we asked one day why was she crippled, and she said because my mama couldn't get me to town to get the vaccination,
Right.
and she was crippled. For all of my childhood, she was
Right.
crippled. But it's because she didn't have an opportunity. She was, didn't have an opportunity to get the vaccination. Now we have the opportunity to get the vaccination to fight this disease, this virus. And it's our people that are saying, no, I don't want it. No, it's a hoax. No, they're trying to follow me. They're trying to get information that the government knows everything about everybody in the
Really?
United States. They know when you go to the bathroom. They know when you wake up in the morning. They know what kind of cornflakes you eat. They know what kind of milk you drink. You got this thing called a cell phone, and they could look at that cell phone and create trends. I got a friend who works at AT&T, and she talks about how they can trend people out. They know what advertisements to send to you on your
Right.
phone. They
Right.
know, if you are a person that saves money. I start looking at the kind of ads that come on my phone.
Right.
I could tell that they know my tendencies.
Right.
So you're not hiding from anybody.
Right.
They know who you are. They know where you're at. Whenever they get ready for you, they can come get you. So
And I told several. I did a show on the first season. In my business, that's what we do as a social media marketer. We follow the trends of what people log on through social media. That's how we're able to sell a product to you, and it'll pop up in your news feed. You didn't ask for it, but at some point in time, you searched it. So all I have to do is go to Google and type in whatever trending words is related to the product that I'm selling, and it goes out to 4.8 billion people all over the world. Now, and I say that because you're so correct. There is nothing that we can do. If you have a camera on your phone, they can activate your phone. If you have a speaker on your phone, they can activate that. They can even turn on your smart TV while you're in bed and look at your whole entire house. It's not by accident, people. But I want to ask you this, Albert, because you touched on the, especially in our culture, is untrustworthy. Why is this particular virus or taking this vaccine so much harder than taking the chickenpox vaccine, the measles, the mumps, all the other communicable viruses out there? What makes this one so different that people are risking life?
the thing that they are saying is that they don't trust government. They talk about, like today. I was at a forum today, and one man asked me, "Well, you taking the vaccine?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, you didn't think about the Tuskegee experiment?" And I asked him, "Tell me about the Tuskegee experiment."
He didn't know nothing.
He knew nothing, but it was a syphilis. Uh, so people heard the word. They did an experiment on black people in Tuskegee and called it Tuskegee, and so they're gonna do it now. So people got to understand that what happened then is not now. And I
Right.
think Trump has changed the political whirlwinds of the country, where when he said, "Do not trust fake media." Nobody trusts anything, even when they see it with the eyes. They do not trust it. people going to funerals. They know
Right.
people dying from coronavirus, but then they say, "Well, I got to die of something." So when
Right.
my time comes, I'm gonna die. Well, I tell them, go out there and stand in the road and see if a truck runs over you. See if it's your time. If it's your time, you're gonna die. If it's not your time, you get up, dust yourself off, and come on back in the house.
Well, and that's why I asked earlier, should we change the narrative of how this is being delivered? Because if somebody don't care about themselves that much, then where they just make a straight dumb statement like that. I mean, yeah, we all know we're gonna die of something, but I'm not being no fool and trying to hurry up and die either.
Well, that's what some people are just saying. People don't like to be told what to do either. So
Well,
if you tell them that, and like you said, we may have to change the narrative because we're telling them this is good for them. Maybe if we told them it was bad for them and that if you took the shot you'd die,
right,
they may go and take it. And
right,
you never know. You never know what people are thinking. But they got this level of untrust with the government, and I think that is transcending into this discussion. Government as they don't understand that President Barack Obama began this this vaccination back when he was president. He funded research. Yeah, they didn't just do the vaccination in 3 or 4 months. This thing's been going on since 2014, I believe.
See, this is what I thought. This is why I don't trust it.
No, they couldn't get a vaccine. They couldn't get a vaccine of this nature in those 2 or 3 months.
Right.
It's been going on for years, and it culminated during the Trump's administration, where they finally, did come out with a vaccine.
Right.
But during the Obama administration was when the government scientists were coming together because he had gotten intelligence that there was going to be a pandemic on the horizon. And so they were working on this vaccine prior to Trump coming in.
Wow.
This is not a new, it's a new vaccine, but the making of the vaccine is not new. They've been working on it.
Okay. And again, and see, information like that might help too, to know that this is just not something, for those of you who are listening out there to the show, this is not something that was just created in those 3 months like I originally thought. So I may have to start doing a little bit more deep diving myself and doing a little bit more research instead of just coming up. Sometimes you can't even, I'm going to let you guys decide that for yourselves. What are some of the things that you got going on in Marion, in Perry County, as far as political wise, or some other functions or programs that you have a hand in, or some that you may have created in order to uplift not just the young generation, but the ones who really want to change their conditions and situations?
Well, the key thing in government is infrastructure. You'll be surprised, and Congress the Senate just passed a $1 trillion package that included funding for water. You'll be surprised at the number of people, not just in Alabama, but across this country, that does not have clean, fresh drinking water coming out of their kitchen sink.
Really?
Infrastructure. We laid over $3 million worth of water lines in Perry County to give people fresh drinking water. That is, and we're expanding that. That's one thing that we're doing, is expanding our infrastructure to give people a better quality of life. We have this recovery money. That's the focus. That's my focus right now, is to make sure that we spend this $1.7 million that Perry County received in a way that people can feel it and understand that their government was looking out for them. So we've come up with different projects that we're going to be pulling out online over the next year and a half
Okay.
to make Perry County a safer place to live and work.
Right.
We're also working on some what we call e-government products, where people won't think a e-government uh, computer just can paste and cut stuff, and you send your sensitive information across the internet. You have to build these systems. It's nothing like I can build a website in 2 days or 3 days, paste and cut. No, you're building a secure network
Right.
where people's information will be secure and won't be susceptible to the viruses, all the pirates that are out there. So we're working on e-government for our county. We also working on facility structure. We have a aging courthouse. We have a facility, old National Guard armory that we're going to turn into something that's productive for our community. So people, even after this $1.7 million is gone, they will be able to look back and see that footprint here. We're working on roads in the county. We got a lot of stuff going on. People have to be patient. This is a microwave society where people believe that, I take it out the bag, put it in the microwave, put it on 2 minutes.
Right.
Government doesn't work like that. You got to go through it.
Well, how much involved? And this question has always been in the back of my mind. For as long as I've been watching politics, or because I'm just an observer. Now I view myself as an independent. I pick who I like on Dem or Republican side. But how much involved should the government be in its constituencies' lives? I mean, because sometimes you can be so much involved that the people can start to become dependent upon the government. And then that's all that they look for is the continuation of help, when I believe that the majority of people can actually help themselves if they just stop being lazy. But how much involved should the government be to stop the people from being lazy?
I think you have to have limited involvement. I don't think you should have total involvement. This is not Cuba.
Right.
It's not a country that provides you all and everything.
Right.
This is a free market, free enterprise society that we live in. But when the government fails to do the thing that they're supposed to do, is to give you the education that you need, the training that you need to be able to be self-sufficient and productive, they then have an exasperated obligation to help you, because they feel, if you give me a good education, if you take out racism, if you take out all these crutches that they give some people and don't give other people, if you put the playing field level, the involvement of government will be less.
Right.
And because I'm in a position in government now, that's my mentality. It's trying to give us all a level playing field, and then let us be able to pick it up from there and go to your destination. I believe in a limited involvement of government, but I believe government has a role to play when they have failed their citizens.
I mean, now, and I'm going to touch on this, and then we'll move on to some future things that you've been involved in. Is there such a thing as critical race theory? I don't believe so because that one word theory and that history is not a theory. We know that it actually happened. So what is the big uproar about that term being used?
Like you said, it's the term itself. Call racism what it is, and teach people how to identify racism. Teach people how not to be racist. That's what we need to do, and we don't need to
How do you
argue.
now? That's a question. I'm gonna stop you right there. How do you teach someone how not to be racist if that's what they ultimately believe?
Well, you most people are raised. They're not born racist. They are raised, they're groomed, they're taught from home. I mean, you get more teaching at home than you get anywhere else. So
Very
when we decide as a society that we're all human, we all bleed red blood, we all, have to breathe the same air, and that none of us are no better than the other,
right,
then we can end that. But as long as we have elitist thoughts and elitist actions, we continue to have racism. And racism can be both black and white. It doesn't mean that it's all white people
right,
hating people. It's some black people hating black people, some white people hating white people.
right,
Racism is all encompassing.
right,
So you just have to teach at home and
right,
teach the public that we all God's children,
right,
that God made us all, and that some of us have been given opportunities that others have not had, but that does not make us turn our nose up at other people because
right.
we came from a different situation than I came from.
Right.
Someone,
I don't think they understand that. Well, from my perspective, I don't even care what they do. If you don't like me, cool. I think I'm a cool person. That's your shortcoming if you don't like me. But because the understanding that I've seen on some news platforms is that the Caucasian, well, those that are doing all of the turning up right now, they feel like they're going to be replaced. And I don't think that they understand that the average black person don't even care. I mean, it's not like that they don't care about them being replaced or them being alive or whatever like that. But that's not a concern or an issue for us to even think about. And I don't think they get that part. I'm just trying to take care of my family.
well, I think in taking care of your family, they see the majority becoming a minority, and they are afraid that the minority, when they become the majority, will treat them like they treated.
Oh.
Fighting for, they call it their rights. They think they have a birthright to be superior, and that is not a birthright. You don't have a birthright because you're a Caucasian person to be in superior to a person of darker skin.
Right.
Uh, Pigmentation. You don't have that. You don't have that right. And what they're fighting for is their right to remain a superior race.
Right.
And that's why you have so many people struggling with society now because they feel like somebody is coming to take something away from them.
Right.
And like you say, most African American people, if you look at interracial marriages, black families accept the white person much quicker than the
Yeah.
white family accept the
With
black.
the black. You're right.
So
You're right.
African American people inherently
Right.
are
I loving people.
don't feel they don't
Right.
feel the same way as
Right.
white people feel towards them. They They don't feel that inferiority. They don't feel somebody's taking something from them. Feel like, I got to fight for my survival, and
Right.
I'll fight for my death. And that's what you had in January the 6th. You had people who had gotten to a point that they really felt that if Joe Biden and the Democrats took over, that their life was over with, and they were going to fight for their lives.
Right.
And that was just not the case.
Well, I don't think that the average person out there even knows that and again, I'm going to say this, so Abba doesn't get replayed on on some TV news network and be all chopped up and misconstrued. But listen, people, a lot of the cuts and breaks that's happening, they won't affect you anyway. I don't get that part about the Republican side. I don't see where they're going to get any. Anyway, let's move on to something else. That's a show for a different take. But understand what you're jumping into before you go out there and sign up for something, and then you'll regret it later. A lot of those insurgents took days, weeks off work to get locked up and go to jail. And now you're looking at prison time. Don't be a crash dummy, because if somebody told you to jump off a bridge, are you really going to be the one to go out there and jump off it? No, don't be a crash dummy. So you spoke about the programs and the infrastructure, getting the infrastructure done. What is happening as far as programs to help people become more self-sufficient as far as owners and bosses of businesses and things like that?
Well, we were able to put over $1 million in this Black Belt region to small minority business owners.
Okay.
To create jobs. That was one of the programs that came out of the Rebuild CARES Act.
Right.
That program allowed for area regional commissions to invest money by giving small loans and to individual businesses. They could relieve themselves of loans, traditional banks. Couldn't traditionally get funding to get trucks or equipment or whatnot. They were able to get that through the program. I was instrumental in helping about 10 small businesses across the region, 8 in my county alone, to get over $100,000 each.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That was a big plus in our county to help ease the unemployment burden, because those companies, where they may have had 4 or 5 employees, were able to retain those employees, were able to add on to their employment footprint.
Okay.
I was glad to see young guys that we were able to help turn that into something positive.
Right.
In our community, to help people right here at home. That's been one of the crown jewels of my work since I've become chairman, is to move small businesses and large businesses to the forefront of county government, so that we can have a marriage of corporate America with government. When you can do that, you can help lift people up.
Right.
Corporations are going to hire people, and when they have support and they are having a true dialogue with government, you can see employment, you can see wages, you can see benefits, and all those things increase for citizens. So that's why it's important. We just gave 3 of our largest corporations Corporate Citizen of the Year awards for their dedication and their willingness to work with our government and our community to make our workplaces here better and make it better for those families that work in those places. Right. So that families will be able to meet their basic needs during this pandemic. And I must say that I'm very proud of the work that those companies are doing in Perry County. I'm very proud of the way that those companies responded to our request to increase their wages, increase their benefits, make sure that people have livable wages without having to be legislated into doing that.
Has the government or politics have recognized the the new hot way, or the hot new way that businesses are being running now? A lot of people are transitioning over to the e-commerce side, and even over the past 8 years, I've seen more young people become millionaires off of just running e-commerce platforms. Has the government recognized that? For instance, I know a young guy that's down here in Florida. I mean, multimillionaire off of cryptocurrency. How does corporations compete with that and try to push more toward the old traditional brick and mortar businesses as opposed to this new online way?
Even online, you have to have product. So
True.
you got to be able. Corporation has to produce the product. The end result of how you get it to the customer, that's what's new
Right.
through commerce. But government has recognized that. That's why they have come to taxing e-commerce.
Yes, I know. Very severely.
So when you first started ordering offline, you didn't have to pay sales tax. Now, when you order offline, you have to pay sales tax.
Right.
Although the sale may be originated through the internet, and your company may be in Delaware or be in New York somewhere.
Right.
People here in Perry County are receiving our tax dollars because that's where it's being shipped.
Right.
So government has recognized e-commerce. It's been a major player for us because we don't have as many retail stores as the larger cities have. But more people are shopping online during this pandemic. When people were at home, they were shopping. I was one of them. I was buying everything. But e-commerce is big business, and I'm glad that government did recognize that and did put in place the taxation part to be able to provide services for communities that don't have the Walmarts and that don't have the Marshalls and big stores, Kmart and all those Targets. They don't have the big box stores.
Right.
Are able to benefit from our people shopping online at those big box stores.
Well, hey, we're at this part of the show now, too, ladies and gentlemen. What is next for Albert Turner Jr.? Should we be getting ready to? Should I get ready to start coming home for a state position, or should I follow you up to DC for a federal position?
Well, we have great people in those positions that represent my area. My best friend is the state senator, Bobby Singleton.
Okay.
Another friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, Terry Sewell, is my United States Congresswoman. Both are accessible. You don't always have to hold the seat to hold influence. And we have access. Once you have access to your leaders, your government officials, then you can effectuate change. You don't have to be sitting at the table. Right. So we're able to effectuate change on so many different platforms because of our.
Right.
So it's important for local governments because this is where the rubber meets the road on your county level, where people see you and can touch you, where people go to church with you, where people see you in the grocery store, people can see you cutting your grass and stop and hold a conversation or ask you to do something, or where everybody has your phone number and you can't get away from them. So I love this level of government because it allows people to be able to share with you their inner thoughts. what needs to happen. And then you
Right.
have to have the desire in your heart to be a servant of the people. You have to make sure, regardless of people like you or not, you got to
Right.
make sure that things that they're supposed to have, they have them, and they
Right.
have abundance of that. So,
Right.
as long as it's legal and it can be done, and you're entitled to it, you may not get it when you want it, but you can rest assured, under during my administration, it's going to get to you. So
Okay. Well,
now,
and last but not least, and I don't want to cut you off, but I definitely want to have you. We will be doing. Hopefully, we will have, if time allows, and we'll be doing a follow up show probably in season 3, and let you know then what is going on with Mr. Albert Turner. But at this particular part of the show, Albert, I always ask the guests 2 questions. Uh, what is your favorite quote? Or it can be a book, something that had an impact on you as a person that leads you to make a lot of the decisions that you make, or be just yeah. Let's stick with that. A favorite quote, and then 2, the best advice that you can give the listeners out there, whether they want to get off into political world or they want to get off into social activism or whatever the case may be? Was those 2 questions.
well, my motto that I live by, and have lived by it since I was an adult, is to whom much is given, much is required.
Ooh-wee.
God has blessed me abundantly. He has given me more than I will ever use in my life. I think that because He has blessed me, that I have an obligation to help others in the capacity that I'm in and in other capacities that I serve. So
Right.
helping others is the cornerstone of
Mm.
what my philosophy is.
Right.
I from that motto of mine, to whom
Right.
much is given, much is required. For as advice for a public servant, a person who is contemplating getting into public life, there's a lot of sacrifice that you have to make. You sacrifice family time, you sacrifice loved ones, you sacrifice family uh, to be able to be places that some people may appreciate you and some people may not, but you still have to go. It's a calling on your life. If you
Mm.
don't have a calling on your life, you're not going to be successful in the political arena. I
Right.
have a calling on my life to serve the people in this capacity.
Right.
Uh, and, you know, serve this present age, my calling to fulfill. I have to fulfill my calling that God has put on my life. So uh, that's why I go the extra mile. That's why I go the lengths that I go to try to produce a positive result for the citizens here in Perry County, as well as the Black Belt region of Alabama, as far as Alabama, as far as this nation.
Right.
Because uh, we've been given an opportunity. My father has opened the door
Right.
uh, for me in ways that most people who serve as county commissioners would never get a chance to do. You
Right.
can name on one hand how many county commissioners have been in the presence, on stage, backstage, in the White House, in the Vice President's house, in Congress, at the inauguration, at the party, uh, at the strategy meetings. You can name on one hand how many uh, county commissioners throughout the
Mm.
United States have had
Wow.
that access.
Right.
Uh, and that is because of my father.
Right.
And the door is open. He opened the door for me.
Right.
It's my job to walk in there, and it's my job to be able to stay in there. And that's what I've concentrated my life on doing, is making sure that the doors that have been open for me, that I can walk freely in those doors and
Right.
remain in those rooms to be able to bring things to my people
Right.
that we need to increase and enhance their quality of life.
Mm. Well, all right, man. You guys have heard it from Albert Turner Jr. I mean, and I think that you guys, even if you see this on the replay, you need to replay it again, because just that one statement, the calling and the servant, that was really very deep. And just understanding the moves that you have to make out there in this world. Is there? Well, we'll have all of the platforms and ways to get in contact with Mr. Albert Turner. It'll be in the description if you want to see what's going on in the Black Belt region of Alabama, as well as what's going on in Perry County, or as far as what's going on just across the whole entire platform. Family, we're at this end of the time of the show. We're going to cut this off, and I thank you guys for chilling with me this 1 full hour. And man, I wish we could have got more off into it. And as you see, that Albert had to leave, but I really wanted him to give me a good war eagle before he had left. But anyway, this is R. Muhammad with Plug In, and I'll see you guys next week.